It's Monday, September 25, and time for your Barbados Day afternoon news update. I'm Kmar Jordan, so glad you could join us. The island's law enforcers are not happy with the high level of crime in the Southern Division. This includes the parishes of Christchurch, St. Philip, St. John, and St. George. Last evening, Senior Superintendent Euclid Thompson presented troubling figures for the Oistins jurisdiction as he addressed the relaunch of the Plum Grove Neighborhood Watch in Christchurch. The senior law enforcer says while residents should not live in fear, they must be mindful that the threat of crime is ever present.
At present, there are 26 cases of murders, 16 of which have been committed in the Southern Division. This is the geographical area in which you will find yourself. In the Station District of Oistins, so far for the year, there have been 22 cases of aggravated burglary, 227 cases of burglary, 280 cases of theft, 23 cases of rape, 24 cases of serious bodily harm, and 440 cases of illegal drugs. There have also been 86 cases of gun-related crimes. As it relates to young people, 51 of them have been charged for all categories of offenses.
The senior cop warned the community and the wider society to do more to steer young people away from a life of crime. Thompson raised concern that too many Barbadians were prepared to allow evil to masquerade as good. He called on leaders, seniors, and parents to set better examples to children. He also warned that if the current trend was not reversed, there could be serious fallout for the country.
Too many of our youngsters are not fulfilling their potential or indeed using their God-given gifts and talents to lead meaningful and productive lives. If this present trend is not halted, it will result in a lack of growth in our productive sectors, manufacturing, tourism, agriculture, etc. Our educational system, especially at the secondary and tertiary levels, our spiritual growth as it relates to the level of our various congregations and the leadership within our churches, various churches, and a belief and abiding faith in our Creator God. It certainly will not bode well for peaceful and orderly Barbados.
In other news this Monday, 5 people were injured in an accident along Road View St. Peter around 5:20 this morning. The car was driven by 31-year-old Ron Henley Cox of Inchmarlow, Christchurch, who was transporting a 28-year-old female. The truck was driven by 24-year-old Jamar Boyce of Bourbon, St. Lucie, who was also accompanied by 2 male passengers. Henley Cox suffered pain to his right wrist and ankle, while the female passenger sustained injury to her right elbow and left knee. Boyce suffered cuts to the face and complained of pain to his left eye and back. His 42-year-old passenger suffered pain to the knee, and his 28-year-old passenger pain to the chest. Boyce and his 28-year-old passenger were both transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance for medical attention. The other victims opted for private medical attention. 3 fire tenders and 7 fire officers under the command of Station Officer Trevor Cadogan responded to that accident. Meantime, police are continuing investigations into a separate accident which occurred along Bakers Road, St. Peter, around 9:50 last night, involving 2 cars. 67-year-old Neville Corbin of Eden Lodge, St. Michael, was the driver of one of the vehicles, while 27-year-old Emile Phillips of Lowland, St. Lucie, was the other driver. Fire officers had to use the jaws of life to remove Corbin from his vehicle. He sustained a broken nose and suffered pain to his head, chest, abdomen, and pelvis. Phillips complained of pain to the chest and his left forearm. They were both transported to the QEH by ambulance for medical attention. In other news this Monday, a claim that the economy is heading in the right direction. So says Acting Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism Richard Seeley, who suggests that some of the evidence lies in the recent drop in the unemployment rate. Addressing a Democratic Labour Party branch meeting at the Wesley Hall Junior School, Mr. Seeley insisted that the economy was holding its own, even though he conceded that government was anxious for economic growth to pick up.
The economy actually is growing, not as fast as we would like, but we are getting there. We are going in the right direction. And listen to the reports from the central bank that come out quarterly. I mean, we had a social partnership meeting, I think, right around the same time as the last report. Nobody didn't even mention the fact that unemployment went from 10.2 to 9.7%. Unemployment going down. We are hearing how terrible things are in Barbados. Unemployment is at single digits for the first time in a very long time in Barbados. And a minister of finance, because that is one of the measures that all ministers of finance globally look at. There are certain key metrics that you keep your eye on as a minister of finance, or for that matter as a government, and one of them is the unemployment rate.
But in the eyes of opposition leader Mia Motley, the economy is still in crisis, and she says the turnaround is in the hands of the private sector. However, she laments that there's still too much difficulty in doing business in Barbados. Addressing the 60th anniversary dinner and award ceremony of Heinz Transport at the weekend, Ms. Motley charged that little had been done to remove the bureaucracy stifling the business sector.
We are not going to get ourselves out of this crisis unless Barbadian businesses and Barbadian individuals earn their way through their businesses. Governments do not grow, businesses and individuals do. And I want us to understand this, because it is against this background that we will recognize that it is our solemn duty to make it easier to do business in this country. We have, for too long, been speaking about it. And while we must focus on debt and deficits, as is our duty, it does not take away from us the obligation of making it easier to do business in Barbados. It is too difficult to do business with the courts. It is too difficult to do business in corporate affairs. It is too difficult to do business with anything that requires licenses. It is too difficult to do business to get your license, driver's license renewed.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Morning, Miss Oya.
Morning. You again. So you're washing cars now? Well, I can't keep up with you at all.
Yes, girl. You know they're going to provision to selling slow. And I don't sell nation newspapers at all because them don't sell. So I washing cars now. I like to get up before 8:30 because I can't take the hot sun. You want the car wash?
No, not today. It clean.
But you're going in very early though?
Yeah, I just going early so I can read the Barbados today online before work starts.
Right. But you can still let me clean the vendor for the $2. At least it's still cheaper than the nation newspaper.
All right.
I got a special boo here that I got it shiny. Thank you. Enjoy your day here.
You too.
All right. What that paper is? She can see clearly when the dirt is gone.
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, Dominican's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit assures Dominicans crying out for relief that help is on the way. There have been complaints that much-needed supplies are not reaching the battered communities outside the capital, Roseau. But at the news conference this morning, Mr. Skerrit promised that as early as today, these areas could be serviced.
We have 14 40-foot containers of food supplies and relief supplies in Antigua that will be shipped during the course of today to Dominica. These shipments will arrive over the course of the next few days, but we recognize that there is an acute urgency for food supplies in some districts and geographical regions. And I last night arranged for a few special layer charters from Barbados today. Indeed, the first should be landing at Douglas Church Airport around 11 o'clock this morning. And those supplies will not be brought to Roseau, but will be directed straight to an impoverished area. I have requested Leah to keep these special relief flights going until the food situation has been brought under control with the arrival of the large vessels. Also, I'm aware that two massive schooners will be departing Barbados tomorrow, one bound for Roseau and another for Portsmouth. And these are laden with food and other supplies, some donated by the government and people of Barbados, and some purchased by the government in Barbados for and on behalf of our people.
On the international scene, thousands of people on the Indonesian island of Bali have been evacuated from their homes amid fears that Mount Agung could erupt for the first time in over 50 years. A 12-kilometer exclusion zone has been set up around the volcano on the northeastern side of Bali, and more than 48,000 people have been evacuated. Volcanologists warn that seismic activity around the mountain is increasing and it has the potential to erupt. And on that note, we end our afternoon update, but there's more online at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper email updates, or you can like us on Facebook. And of course, if you're moving around Barbados today this afternoon, you can check us out on Izumi Media and bus terminals or Screenplay in a supermarket or a gas station near you. Also, tune in to Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Kmar Jordan. Have a fabulous afternoon and be sure to join us back later on today for our next update.